Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Seun Akinlotan, and welcome to the Seun Akinlotan Show. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to have an interesting conversation, but before we get started, please leave me your name in the comment box so I know where you're watching from. So leave your name and your location, and I will give you a shout out. So leave your name, leave your location. How are you all doing today? And if you can hear me, just type it in the comment box and let me know that you can hear me well, loud and clear. Thank you all for joining in. I see everyone online. You can also go ahead and share with other people so that we can have more people join us. Ololade Lawal, thank you. Please leave your name and location. Let us know where you're watching from. So you can basically leave your name, location, state, city, and state. And then go ahead and share this video. Thank you for joining. So today, we're going to be discussing how to handle the differences between couples in modern marriages. Some of the key differences that I have identified, and based on my research, some of the key differences are usually centered around cultural differences, religious differences, and income differences. Of course, we have a lot of differences in marriage. And I always say that people that are born from the same parents, they have differences, right? And by the time you leave your parents to get married to someone else, you can't expect you people to be the same. Of course, you might have some things that are similar, but there will definitely be differences. So today we are going to discuss some of those differences, and also we're going to be exploring ways in which couples can come together to address those differences so that we can all build harmonious relationships. Joining me today are 4 panelists, all of whom have been married for at least 10 years, so we've got the experience. The first person I am going to introduce will be Titi Izwagi. She is a pharmacist by profession, and she's also the founder of True Love Expressions. Next is Tamuna George, who is an accountant by training, but a business manager by profession. He currently serves as a director for 3 mid-sized organizations within the healthcare servicing sector in the East Coast region of the United States. We have Bola Akingbeyin. She's a seasoned psychiatric rehabilitation program counselor, and she's also an entrepreneur. She's highly passionate about marriage issues. Last but not the least is Jibola Akinola. He's a business owner. He is the owner and president of Infinite Point Services, which happens to be a residential and commercial moving business based in Delaware, also in the United States. Well, like I said, couples will be different no matter how hard we try. But the question we are going to attempt to answer today is, how can couples enjoy their marriages despite all these differences? So I'm going to bring in my guest and we're going to get the conversation started. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Titi. Welcome, Bola. Welcome, Jibola. Welcome, Tamina. We're going to get the conversation started. So let me give a shout out to people. So we have Lola Day from Nigeria, Sote from Philly, and Kisha is from Philadelphia, Rhoda from Kano, Bumi from UK, and Anurika from UK. That's all I can see at the moment. Let's get this conversation started. Welcome, everybody. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing great. Thank you for joining us. So I'm going to start from the cultural point of view. And my question is, how can couples from different cultural backgrounds, how can they blend together? And My question will be directed first to Tamina, because I know that Tamina is a Nigerian and his wife is an Asian, right? So, what tips would you give to couples from different cultural backgrounds? It could even be from the same country. We have different tribes in Nigeria. You could be Yoruba, you could be Igbo. And at first, it might seem like, oh, we like each other, we love each other. And then sometimes along the way, those differences can begin to show up. How can couples handle these cultural differences? So, Tamina.
Yep. Thank you so much for that question, Sharon. So initially, when I and my wife decided to get married, we decided that, hey, you know what, we're gonna rock this, through thin and thin, So we had that understanding that, no matter what happens, we are gonna stay together as one. So that was one driving force through, our process of understanding our different cultures, in terms of me coming from Nigeria, and also she, raised in the US, and her parents are from Haiti. But in terms of how we dealt with it, was just pretty much understanding each other, and as well as also identifying some common grounds, that common similarities within our culture. I will give you one great example, because I love food. At least I know, in their culture, they love to eat rice. So I said, hey, you know what? Let's try, at least we have some similarities in common. Now, so those are some of the things that we kind of build on. I said, okay, then we grew over the course of years, and through commitment, I say, what, through thick and thin, we're going to stay through this together. So we stood through by it, and just understanding, and with the grace of God, everything God has been putting us through so far. Though we have our common different differences here and there, but once we understand the nature of marriage, and the intent of marriage, that was pretty much our driving force.
All right. So thank you for that answer. My question to you again is, let me give a concrete example. So an example of a cultural difference would be, if you are a Yoruba person and you see your in-laws, you're supposed to like kneel down with your two legs on the ground. Did you give your wife some prep? I don't know your own culture, how you greet your parents, and do you usually give your wife some prep to, before she meets the in-laws? And then let's say you give her the prep and then she doesn't remember. How would you handle such situations? And I'm going to come to you as well, Titi.
So we understood that, hey, we're going to have, there are so many issues that are going to be on the way, in terms of different cultures. So when in terms of meeting my parents, I was privileged enough to live in the city, from in Lagos. So my transition to US didn't really, we didn't really adopt our original culture, whereby maybe, and you prostrate where when you see your elders. But for me, it was kind of a smooth transition, because my parents also were very supportive of me, and also her own parents too were also supportive of us. So we had a very good family support system, and and that was what really helped us during our differences.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So Titi, let's come to you. How should couples handle cultural differences in marriages?
Okay, thank you so much for having me. I think that when it comes to cultural differences, I think that it is important for couples to respect each other's differences, and again, it depends on the kind of person you're dealing with. For me, I think I had cool in-laws. My in-laws were pretty cool about it, so the transition was kind of smooth, and for my parents, they were kind of okay with it. For one, I know my dad loved um, people from, or loved that part of the country where my husband was coming from. So it wasn't really a big of a problem, But I think that another thing is, like I said, understanding the kind of person or the kind of people you are dealing with. Some people are more deep into the culture than others, So for me, my parents-in-law, they were in the city, so I can say that they were not so deep into the culture thing as such, So some people regard the culture, they take it really more religiously than others. Why for some other people they can just relax a bit here and there. Like for me, while I was getting married during my traditional wedding, ideally in Yoruba culture, you're supposed to go to the village to do the
Oh.
traditional wedding. For me, my dad was like, everybody is in the city here, so why can't we do it here? And that was what my in-laws were proposing too. So it was cool on both ends.
It was cool on both ends. So Bola, would you like to share how couples can handle cultural differences?
Oh, thank you for inviting me to your show. I'm really excited. Concerning cultural difference in marriage,
It looks like
believe
we're
that for
having
each
technical difficulties with you.
couple,
We can't hear you. Or is it from me? Hello?
No, it's not for me. I can hear her too.
Okay, we're going to move on to Jibola. Jibola, can you give us some tips that couples can use
Yes.
when they experience cultural differences?
Okay. Thank you for having me here. Well, I don't have much to say. I think you respect the other person's culture if if you respect them. So and I think it depends on our attitude, people's attitude too. Some people are so very conservative that it's very tough for them to be flexible when it comes to accommodating other views, or the other partners not really understand what it means. Like in Yoruba culture now, a man will prostrate, a woman will kneel down. Some people are so big on those kind of things that if you don't do it, they can take offense, and that offense can drag on to something else.
Yeah.
And in marriage too, I think people will they will sell easily when there are cultural differences. If you don't think that maybe your culture is more superior than the culture of the other person, you're marrying. And I think from the time of relationship or courtship, if there's any red flag, when when it comes to your cultural differences, those things are going to play out at that point. And it's up to you to make a decision whether I want to go on with this or not. If someone is pretending as if they're down with everything that comes along with your culture, by the time you get married and reality sets in, those challenges are going to be there. But I think if you are committed to your relationship, if both of you come first, I think you will be able to overcome all those shortcomings, like people can bring in as a baggage.
Absolutely. And I love how you said that during courtship, it's really important. And one of the things that I have found out over the years, especially like talking to people, is the fact that people don't ask questions during courtship. They just assume that when they get into marriage, everything is going to be glorious. It's going to be lived happily ever after. So people need to start asking questions. But if you find yourself in it already, let's say you didn't ask questions, then you might want to also learn that other person's culture. I believe that if you love someone, there should be a level of sacrifice that you are willing to commit to. So if your own culture says that you don't kneel down, and your spouse's culture is kneeling down, and you know that it's important to that family, just honor them. It doesn't take anything from you. Honor them as long as you are not eating forbidden food or anything. Because I've heard different stories about, some people would say that when someone dies, you have to shave your hair, or you have to drink water from, there are different theories. As long as what they're asking of you is not against your own personal conviction, I think that you should be able to make some type of sacrifices and honor that person's culture. And I think, people should learn to respect one another, just like every one of us have said. I am going to move on to the next question, which is a big deal, at least for me, and it's religious differences. I know that, we have couples that maybe the husband is a Muslim and the wife is a Christian, or maybe the husband practices Judaism and the wife is Catholic, or whatever your religion is. We do have some couples that are going through their marriage right now, and they have religious differences. So I wanted us to discuss this and share practical solutions that people can use in their marriage. They've made, I wouldn't call it a mistake, they've decided to marry one another, right? They decided to marry one another, and going into it, you knew or you know that your spouse is a Muslim or your spouse is a Christian. What religion should they adopt? And I've also heard stories. There was a particular man that wanted to marry a Christian woman. During their courtship, he had promised her that he would be a Christian. In fact, he converted to Christianity. And then few years into the marriage, he then decided that he had a dream, and God told him that he was going to be a Muslim, that he should convert back to Islam. And then he converted back, and he wanted his wife to also change her religion. What would you say to this, and how would you advise people to handle this type of situation? I see everyone. Thank you all for joining. If you have not shared this video, please go ahead and share with other people. So this question, I'll go to Bola Akin for. Hopefully your network is working perfectly. Bola Akin, you have the floor.
Thank you very much once again for having me on your show. I hope you can hear me clearly now.
No, we still can't hear you.
Oh my God.
I think one may be going on. If you have any electronic device, if you're using your cell phone and you have your iPad beside you, whichever one, shut off the other one so that it's not interfering.
All right, Jibola, can you answer the question? Let's move ahead.
Just handle religious differences.
We still can't hear you.
Can you hear?
Jibola, can you go ahead?
With the religious differences?
Yes. What would you advise a couple?
Wow. I think it starts from the time you started dating or cutting each other, when you ask questions. If it's going to be an issue, I think you will know right from the time that that discussion started, how accommodating the other person can be when it comes to, even within, what we normally see is someone who is a Muslim and the other person who is a Christian. But there are also differences in, religious ideology. If you're a Christian, like, either you're Pentecostal or evangelical or Baptist or, what should I say, a Catholic. But I had a personal experience a long time ago before I was married. I was dating someone who was a Jehovah's Witness. So right from the beginning of the conversation, while we're still getting to know each other. So she was like, well, do you know I'm a Jehovah's Witness? Do you think that will be a problem? So me being naive at the time just said, oh, no, that shouldn't be a problem. They're Christian, so I'm a Christian too. And I grew up in a home where I would say, where it is kind of like, when it comes to religion, it is very liberal. It's not conservative. Like, it's not every Sunday that we'll go to church. Religion is not really something that is big. I think morality comes first before that. So, I just shrug it off like, well, that shouldn't be a problem. But going into that relationship, those differences were playing out big time, because on the day of your birthday, you expect, your girlfriend at the time to be like, hey, today's my birthday, let's go somewhere. So like, no, We don't celebrate birthdays. Oh, really? What's going on? So that will turn into, a different conversation that can turn so heated. But hey, this is it. Do it for me. She would just be like, she's very conservative when it comes to that. So it took a while before I realized that. And I said, like, the relationship did not actually ended just because of that, cultural, differences. Because as time goes on, our viewpoints, when it comes to our approach to life and so many other things started showing up more and more. And, we just grew apart. So, and I've known people, even family members, who married someone from, partner or a spouse from a different, religion, and everything worked out great. My dad had, Muslims who are like his best friend. But when it comes to marriage, you never know what positions people will, take. And I feel like whenever people take positions like that, it means like real love is probably not, there in the first place. So, and sometimes you may date someone, you may marry somebody that you like, doesn't necessarily mean that you love that person, So I just
Can
think
you
that's
come again? Can you explain that? What do you mean by marrying someone you like, but you don't necessarily love the person? That's
okay.
interesting.
Someone will tell you that I like you. That doesn't mean I love you.
Oh, okay. That's
It's two different things. So I like you means like I tolerate you. We can roll together. We can be cool together, and
okay.
maybe like if you like that person enough, you may get married to them. But after you get married, when all these butterflies that you have in your tummy
After the butterflies disappear.
flies off the window, the reality sets in. And the same thing with love. So you love someone, which means you don't want to see that person, go through pain. You have their back, you're loyal to each other, you're always
Okay.
on the same page, nothing or nobody can really get in between you, you know.
Okay.
And and if you have that, then that's not going to be an issue that nothing can really, you can have things that will shake the foundation of your relationship or your marriage, but it's
Okay.
not going to actually destroy it.
Okay.
So that's what
Interesting.
in my personal opinion, I always look like, okay, you like someone, you love someone, there's a difference. So but
Okay.
most people, they will just automatically think, oh, because she likes me or he likes me, that means he loves me. So you make
Oh
an
wow.
assumption. Then as time goes on, you
Assumption.
begin to look at like what is going on. This person is not really into me and all those things. It's just like marriage. If somebody might like you enough to get married to you, maybe because that person is a lady and they just want, they want their walk on their finger. They want to adopt somebody's last name and have a child.
Adopt
And
somebody's last name. That's interesting.
you know, just to maybe just to show their, I mean, societal pressure. Parents are pressuring you, or your other friends are getting
The
married, especially from where
society.
we come from.
Mm,
You reach a certain age. If you're 25 and over for a lady, you know, pressure will start kicking in, tension
mm.
and all those things. Then if you're a guy, if you're 30 years old, you know how our parents talk like, look at you, who are you going to end up with? We need to start seeing someone with you. Or even if you have someone that they know, they were like, when are you going to pop the question? You're no longer young, you're no younger anymore. So you have a job, you have a house. What else are you waiting for? All those things. But I come to realize that we tend to tie age with so many things, and
Hmm.
which I think is wrong.
So
And
age can be a factor into getting into some type of relationships that you are not supposed to get into.
no, I think, let me say, in the Nigerian African culture,
Okay.
we're so age conscious. If you're
Hmm.
30 years old and you're not yet married, a
Married.
man or a woman, that means
Hmm.
something is wrong with you. Or you're
Hmm.
30 years old, you don't have what is called a stable job or a decent income.
income, so it begins to
Yes.
be a problem. I want to
Yes.
go to TP right now, because you mentioned something that I think is very critical, and that is assumption. And because I had seen her talking about some of the assumptions that people make that might be a problem in marriages. So Titi, do you want to share some light about that?
Oh yeah. Just like I was saying, like yesterday, I was saying, it's just better to be clear about these things, especially when you're dating. Don't assume that you guys are together, especially when it comes to spirituality or religion. Because religion, people take religion, especially in this part of the world, people take religion seriously. So you can't just wish it away and say it won't matter. You have to understand what it is that you're going into. So if you understand that the person you're dating is of another religion, it's better for you to begin to acquaint yourself with that person's religion. And especially for the lady, again, in this part of the world, when you get married, you are most likely going with the guy's religion most of the time. Most of the time. So even if at the end of the day, the guy says, don't worry, I'll allow you to go ahead with your own religion, just prepare your mind. If you don't go to his own side of religion, your kids might go there. My advice to anybody is marry your kind. Religious wise, spirituality, marry your kind. Because life is
I
hard
agree.
already. The relationship is hard. Marriage is hard already. You now want to add that. Come on now. Just marry your kind. It's easier that way. It's better that way. Just like Akin was saying. Yeah, there are marriages like that prosper, different religions. But there's a lot of sacrifice that's gone into it. As either the man or the woman, especially the woman, a lot of sacrifice has gone into a lot of keeping quiet and just respecting has gone into that. So you ask yourself, is that what you want? Is the love worth it? And we all know what happens when you finally enter inside the marriage. That this love that is shaking you right now, it's not going to be like that in the marriage. So my advice to any person is marry your kind. Marry your kind, really.
Marry your kind. I love that. We're going to go on a short break now, and when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back from that short break. This is the Seun Akinlotan Show. Today we're discussing the differences between couples in modern marriages. And I saw a comment in the comment box that I wanted to address. And the comment is from Anurika. She asked what's the meaning of modern marriages? Modern marriages simply means modern. This is not the olden days. It simply means marriages that are occurring now. So I hope I've defined it for you. Modern marriages, the marriage between a man and a woman that is happening right now. It's not in the 60s. You are not married to a spouse that still has the 1900s mentality. So that's that about that. Now, welcome back. We've been talking about cultural differences, and we also spoke about religious differences. We also want to go right now into income differences, which I think is a big deal between couples in modern marriages. So what if your wife is earning more than you? Is that a problem? And that question is going right to Tamuna. What do you think?
Well, I'm indifferent if my wife is earning more than me, as long as it depends on her attitude towards it.
Okay.
So if she's earning more than me and she's able to support the family, and also I'm able to support the kids in terms of the structure while she works, then it's okay by me. But again, it depends on her attitude towards it. If he feels like if she takes it in another direction, then I will have an issue with that.
Wow. Okay, that's great. That's great because I know this is a lot of couples have problems with this, especially when the wife is earning more than them. Okay, so Titi, if a wife is earning more than her husband, what would you say to the wife? And if they are going through problems in their marriage, or maybe it's a source of tension somewhat, the man is not secured. What advice would you give to such women?
I think that when it comes to the lady any more than the guy, I think she should try as much as it's possible to keep her head down. You know, try as much as possible to keep your head down and don't throw it in the man's face. You know, yeah, we know. By we, I mean both of you know that you earn more already. So there's no point rubbing it in his face. Because tables can turn. So try to keep your head down. But my and another thing I would say is, in as much as you're trying to keep your head down, do not go ahead to enable the man. Anyway, it depends on the kind of person you're dealing with, though. But there are situations where the wife is earning much more than the guy, and the guy is kind of blackmailing the wife in quote. So my point is, yes, try to keep your head down, but um, watch it. Do not go ahead to enable the man or make to the extent that he begins to throw this sense of entitlement at you, and you begin to feel guilty about it. There has to be some kind of balance, and you guys have to just work it out. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. There has to be some type of balance. And I think that people also need to consider the fact that nothing is permanent. The fact that you're earning more today does not mean that you'll be earning more tomorrow. So you need to put things in perspective, and you also need to remember your vows. I know these days people have some type of fancy vows they are not using for better for worse anymore. But the truth of the matter is, once you come together, you say, this is the person I want to get married to. It's a forever journey. It's a decision that you are making, saying that come what may, I am for you and you are for me. You take individualism out of it and you begin to say we instead of I. And I think that when you get to that level whereby you have that mentality of we instead of I, then things become better. Another question I want to ask is buying properties or gaining material wealth. So I've seen a lot of couples say that, oh, my husband is building a house. I am also building a house. It's like, yes, they live under the same roof, but their mission and agenda is just like divergent. It defies logic. What do you say to that, Tamuna?
Is that okay?
So I just think that the couple should just come to they have financial differences that they need to work on. That's what I think about that. That if they are being worried about or there is, I think that maybe they're competing against themselves. So I think that they should be they should come to some understanding and work out their differences. So in that situation, I just said that they should work out, they should discuss about their.
But this is a very common thing, and
Yeah.
you see some ladies saying that I'm going to buy my property, I'm going to buy my land because I can't trust my husband. And usually it stems from the fact that some people are insecure because they feel like the husband is promiscuous and they don't know how many children are out there, and they don't really want to have joint property with the husband and things like that. Titi, do you have any contribution to that?
Yeah, just like you were saying, most times things like this stems from issue of trust. There's crack in that trust aspect. For most women that I know that say things like that, it's from experience. They know that this guy is not responsible. They've seen from experience that this guy can't handle this kind of financial responsibility. So they're trying to be careful.
Okay.
So that's why they probably try to build some house behind his back, because they know that the moment he hears of it, the moment he gets wind of one big money somewhere, he'll just come up with one plan that does not have basis building castles in the air and say, I think we should do this, I think we should do that. So they are trying to be careful. For people like that, I think you just have to apply wisdom. You need to talk about these things. And up until when the guy starts showing some level of responsibility, I don't think you should just hand over everything to him and letting him be squandering everything. You have to use your head when it comes to this thing, but be open to talking about it, to
Be
find
open
some
to talking about
reasonable.
it.
And the man too, come on now, Oga, find a way to be responsible now so that we can trust you.
All right, I love that. Yes, because trust and respect are earned. It's not something that will just fall on your lap. So I absolutely, I absolutely connect with that. So talking about respect, we hear men say, "My wife is not respectful. My wife doesn't respect me." Please, Tamuno, explain what respect means to a man who wants to understand.
Tell us, tell us.
He's just simply saying good afternoon and good night.
No, it's more than that. It's more than that.
All right.
On a serious, I think when a man says that, he just simply means that, the lady doesn't make him feel like a man, like feels, it feels not like a man, pretty much. But that's pretty much what it's not. When that word is pretty mentioned, people associated with saying, what my wife is, doesn't greet me or doesn't serve me food or anything. No, but it may be just beyond that. So it's a variation of things, just and it's also individualized. So it just simply means that the ladies doesn't make me feel like a man, pretty much. That's what it means.
Oh, great. So the lady is making you feel like a man. What does that mean?
Well, maybe in terms of decision makings, or in terms of different aspects. So I don't have that issue, thankfully, but I'm just saying, maybe discussing with friends and everything, that's pretty much what I hear about, decision making, they make decisions behind my back. Just like we were talking prior, they buy properties, behind, they try to do, they make, so, pretty much just a decision like that. That's what I feel. But, if I have that issue, I hopefully I will address it, I don't have that issue at the moment, thankfully. Thanks.
Thank you for that. Titi, do you have anything to say to that?
I just think that sometimes people say women are complicated. Sometimes men are complicated too. Okay. But seriously, when it comes to respect, I think just like Tamino was saying, it is an individual thing. But generally, there are some things that hold sway, whether it's male or female. For example, he was talking about, for example, a woman that speaks to her husband anyhow in public. I mean, that is not, why would you do that, And then even within the house, because you have chosen this person to be your husband, you should give him that respect, So when a man says his woman is disrespecting, probably you are speaking to, you don't value him enough, to speak to him appropriately, probably in public or probably within the house, So again, it depends on the kind of person you're dealing with. Some people feel that when I'm saying something, listen to what I'm saying, just those little things, So it depends again on the kind of person that you're dealing with. Know your man, understand the kind of person you're dealing with.
Know your man. I like that. I like that. Know your man and try to. There's a Yoruba adage, I don't know how to translate this, but there's a Yoruba adage that says that the soup that the man does not eat, the woman should not cook.
I just heard that recently and I was like, wow.
Really? Yeah. So when you know someone, you want to tend to that person's behavior. There's a reason why you decided to marry this person in the first place. So when you are confused, when you are overwhelmed, please go back to the reason you started in the first place. It will help you feel better. Maybe one thing I would recommend is people should start writing the good qualities of their spouse. Write it down, the good things you love about this person, so that when issues come up, instead of nagging and fussing, just run back and read.
At that time, running back is not in your head, though. The tensions are high.
Read all these qualities, and maybe it will help you feel better. We're going to go on another break now. Please don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to talk about communication and the importance of communication in marriages. We'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. I am Keisha George of Keisha G Ministries. It's no news that the world is going through unrest, where a lot of people are being downcast. So I am inviting you, yes, you who is watching me right now, to a virtual event called There Is a Lifting. Yes, come and be a part of this virtual event and join me and other ministers on December 5th, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Keisha G Ministries, for more information. Thank you. God bless.
Welcome back. So we're going to talk about communication, and we're going to play a video right now.
Do you know the difference between good and bad communication? Good communication has two properties. You express your feelings openly and directly, and you encourage the other person to express his or her feelings. You say how you are thinking and feeling, and you try to listen and understand what the other person is thinking and feeling. Bad communication, on the other hand, involves a refusal to share your feelings openly or to listen to what the other person has to say. Instead, you argue and get defensive. Another sign of bad communication is denying your own feelings and acting them out indirectly.
All right, so you watched that video, and it's talking about communication, which is one of the top 3 reasons why people actually get a divorce: communication. So I'm going to ask our panelists how they communicate with their spouses. So let's bring them on. All right, so Tamara, let's talk about communication. What does communication mean to you? And what is effective communication? How do you think effective communication can help marriages?
Well, effective communication can help marriages in terms of not making, avoiding making assumptions. That hey, you know what, my spouse already knows. And also, it's not really what you say, is how you say it. So, like, I'll give you an example. So maybe when on a Sunday when we're going to church, my wife comes, hey, do you like this shoe? I'll say, this shoe is great, but you know what, the other one is better. So, but if I say, this one is ugly, and this, she'll feel some type of way and compelled to, you know what, you don't like the shoe, I'm married, I'm just gonna wear it. I think the shoe is great, anyways. So pretty much, effective communication, really matters, and and also how you deliver that communication also matters as well.
How you deliver it, that's big. So Bola, what do you think? What's communication?
Well, communication in marriage or any relationship is the way you are able to pass across whatever information you need to pass across amongst yourselves. In my language, they'll say "Pele oni obi oni ako."
And what does that mean?
To be able to translate this, it means there's a way there are positivity and negativity to the ways you can tell somebody, I'm sorry. There's a way you pass across a message and the person tends to understand it better. If you, when things happen in a relationship or in your marriage and you don't bottle it up, you try amongst yourselves to discuss it so that it doesn't continue to bottle up until you explode.
But some people
very
are not
important.
comfortable. Some people, sorry to cut you short, but some people are not comfortable expressing themselves to their spouses, especially women. Women would love some pampering. If you you know how your husband comes to you and say, are you okay? You say, I'm okay. But
well, It depends on the
Now, I'm not
atmosphere.
okay.
The
So, and
atmosphere.
then sometimes I think for me, men need to also learn how to read in between the line. The person just wants some pampering, just pamper
Why
your
don't you
wife.
just say it in plain
Eh,
English? Why do they have to read in between
Are
the
you
lines?
okay? Just so robotic. Don't be robotic. Eh?
Yeah, even when the lady is saying she's okay, you have known her or you have known the man for a while that he's actually not okay. He's just telling you he is okay. And then the time you are trying to communicate that thing, you know, you should learn to observe moods. There are good moments and there are bad moments. That time
Okay.
that he or she is in a good mood, when you try to communicate, you know that he or the man or the woman will be ready to listen at that time. So I think
Okay.
the time when you are
Timing.
communicating and the manner in which you are passing across the information is very, very important.
Okay. Thank you for that. Titi.
Yeah, interestingly, I was just talking about this thing yesterday. Now, when it comes to communication, communication is a lifeline of every relationship or marriage. So,
Communication is a lifeline.
yeah.
Okay.
So for some people, just like you're saying, people are different. Some people find talking about things, it comes naturally for them. For some, it doesn't. So I was saying that either way, both parties have work to do. You know,
Okay.
generally women talk a lot. So the guys think it's easy for you. You can just talk, and talk. But even for the woman, you still have work to do, because you have to find a way to talk constructively, so that you don't just keep talking, and go off point, and yet you're not passing out any message. Right?
Message.
And for the man that feels that talking does not come naturally to him, he has work to do too. You have to
Okay.
develop yourself to the level where you have to talk. Because that talk, you have to talk it. It's just that both of you now have to adopt a suitable communication style that suits your marriage. Because what suits my marriage may not suit yours. And that's
true.
another problem. Just like this thing most people say, don't go to bed angry. You know, some people just carry that whole her and just say, hey, it mustn't be 12 o'clock, we must talk about this matter today. You know, just like Bola was saying, observe the mood. What you might need at that time might just let tension fall.
Quiet.
You might need to sleep over it and wake up the next morning and probably talk about it. So that talk, you must talk it, but adopt a suitable communication style that is appropriate for your own marriage situation.
That is appropriate for your own man. And it took patience as well, I think. The other thing I've also noticed is that most men tend to be introverted. So that means that they feel like they are communicating, but whatever it is they are communicating is basically in their head. So they thought about it in their head, but they are yet to express it into life. So an example could be like, oh, I saw Mr. XYZ at the store yesterday. Or, the husband goes to the store, sees Mr. XYZ, gets home, did not tell his wife, and Mr. XYZ sees his wife 2 weeks down the line and says, oh, I saw your husband at so and so place. And then you get home, you ask your husband is like, oh, I thought I told you. No, you didn't tell me.
You thought it.
Some men are like that. They have all the things going on, all the conversation held in their head. How do you help them to bring it out of their head as a woman, as a wife? What strategies can you use to help your husband feel at ease? Because sometimes men also bottle up, I believe. Tamna, you support me on this one, right? They bottle up because women can just go on and on and on and on, and it just disturbs their brain. And a typical man, from what I've heard, the moment the wife walks up to the man and says, we have to talk.
Bam. Ding, 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 ding. Trouble.
Tell us, as a man, what can women do to help the man talk better? Because men sometimes withhold some conversations because they believe that, you know what, I don't want to go through this route. This woman is going to kill me or tear me apart. So how can your wife or women make men feel at ease so that they can hold meaningful conversations that can help them to cement their relationship and that can help them to build a harmonious home?
Right. So I would say that, going straight to the, to the intended points, really helps, to cut down so that we can discuss on other issues. So I'll give you a perfect example. So maybe example, you say, you know what, I got to Philadelphia. Okay, then but you're narrating the story to me. Then you're telling me, okay, I got to Philadelphia. I got on 95. I got to 70. I made a left turn. I made a right turn. Simply just going straight directing to the point. Also helps. And the reason why is because most men are, they are working. In a lot of issues. Family. Issues on their head and all that. I don't know. That may be an issue. That may be a problem. So, for personally, what I do personally is that, which I learned from my local church, is having a 15-minute conversation, at least every week with, every individual in my home, starting from my wife to, to my 4 kids, so pretty much that has really helped. So even at any given point of the week, I make sure that either 5 minutes, at least I make sure a total amount of 15 minutes. That I'm starting from there. Then I hopefully I tend to increase it and spend more time and then conversate more better, as opposed to saying, hey, we have to talk right now, just like you mentioned.
All right. 15-minute conversation. So what do you think about that, Bola?
Oh, well, that's a good one, and it is something we actually adopt in my home. We have actually adopted that in my home. Each time we have morning devotion, we ask ourselves, is there anything going on with any of you that you want to discuss in this devotion now? As a matter of fact, my husband will say, you either mention it now or you don't bother to talk about it again, so that we can discuss it. So I want to believe that a lot of men have so much going on in their head. So as the woman of the house, you have the responsibility of helping them to be able to remember if that thing is very, very important. If it is just a trivial issue, I don't think it's of any necessity trying to make him remember. They said they saw you in Philadelphia, you need to explain and all of that. But if it is very, very important concerning that home and it's something we need to trash out, I'll make sure that it is trashed out that day, even before we go to bed. I'll watch the mood, like I told you. Watch the mood. If it is in the middle of the night, I wake the man up and I know he will be able to listen and explain at that time if it is important.
Okay. Well, watch the mood also in the middle of the night, I think applies, especially when you know that, the person has gone through a long day or they are already enjoying that sleep. They are snoring. You don't want to wake them up when they are sleeping, but it depends on the gravity of the issue as well. Some issues need to be trashed in the middle of the night so that you can then move on to, doing your routine work in the morning. This has been great. I have one more question or 2 more questions if time would permit us. And this is about our children. Most marriages produce children. And if the couples are fighting, they are always fighting, it tends to affect the children. We don't want to pass down that legacy to our children. So what strategy would you recommend for maybe couples that are having differences and these differences seem to be irreconcilable, right? How can they help the children to live in that environment without necessarily passing down negative vibes to those children? And that's a question goes to Titi.
Okay, I think that for couples, I think especially when it comes to arguments, I think that couples should set certain ground rules. Both of you should come together and agree that as a matter of rule, we do not raise our voices at each other, especially in front of the kids. So that will go a long way to helping, model a good way of conversing with the kids. Because most of these communication issues we are having with full-blown adults these days, it starts from childhood. It starts from what was mirrored to them, So that will go a long way. Then also, from time to time, ask yourself, what is the plan? What is the plan? And as regards kids, what is the parenting plan? How do we intend to bring up these kids? So that they are not damaged right from the beginning. And from time to time, revisit that plan and see how you can tweak it to make it work better for you and the kids.
Thank you for that. Have a plan. And the question now is, how many people truly have a plan on how to raise their kids? I think that's a great point. And thank you for sharing that. Bola?
Yeah, when it comes to bringing up children or talking to children in the home, for me, in my home, we tried as much as possible. Anytime we are having an argument, we go as far as, I won't say we do not have our arguments, we go as far as driving out to go and do our arguments outside. Because whether you like it or not, the children are watching. And it is the way you are modeling to them that they get to grow up with, consciously, unconsciously. So to be able to raise these children, I would say one voice. No matter the kind of argument, no matter the kind of misunderstanding we are having, if daddy says, Taiwo, you are not going out with that dress, I will say the same thing. Not, don't go out with that dress. And mommy says, what do you think is wrong with that dress? There's nothing wrong with that dress. So I believe solely in one voice as far as the children are concerned.
One voice. And children can be really sneaky. They ask mom, mommy already says no, and then they go and ask daddy, and daddy didn't know that mommy says no. So communication is important, and having one voice. I love that one voice.
In fact, they get disappointed when it comes to stuff like that. Like the last birthday my twin girls had, Kennedy already had the dress she was going to wear, and that morning she showed it to me. I said, no way, you're not going to that dinner with this dress. And then by the time daddy came back, she thought she was going to win daddy over. Daddy, look at my dress. Daddy said, no, I know my wife would not say yes to this kind of dress. She had to go to the mall to go and get another dress. And we had to assess it again before she was able to go on that dinner.
And that is so beautiful. I love it. One voice. It's really important that couples have one voice, irrespective of the differences that might be going on, irrespective of issues that might be going on in the background. One voice is truly important. So Tamina, do you have anything to add to that?
Just real brief. Just don't wash your dirty laundry outside. Especially in front of your kids too. So they are very observant. So we try as much as possible to manage that aspect. Just to like what Bola was saying. In terms of the kids, if in that situation, I usually ask my kids, okay, what did your mom tell you?
Yeah,
that's my response. That's on special occasion. What did your mom tell you? They'll be like, okay, then that's okay. Then listen to your mom. Then
okay.
That's one way.
Oh wow, I love this conversation. One voice. What did your mom tell you? Yes, I love it. Thank you so much. I wish we could go on and on and on and on, but we've reached the end of today's show. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you everyone out there for joining us. If you have not shared this video, go ahead and share this video. If you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please go ahead and subscribe. And until next time, I would say be exceptional, be intentional, and be on point. Bye-bye.